Hi everyone, let's talk about Maracaibo. I've just done a full solo playthrough of this. If you haven't seen that yet, it'll be linked in the description. You can see all the loveliness here, but if you'd like to see it in action, it's in that video over there. So I'm late on Maracaibo, aren't I? As I was rightly chastised or reminded in my top 10 of 2019 video, Where's Maracaibo? Why is there no mention of Maracaibo? It just slipped by. I didn't get it at the time, that Essen, and now here we are all this time later, but you can still catch up on all these things, can't you? It's absolutely fantastic. I was absolutely wrong to have missed out on it at the time. So I've really enjoyed Great Western Trail as well, which, this takes some things from, the great big route that we're going down, move a certain amount each turn, get to the end, there's all this scoring for everybody. We have these player boards where extra actions, extra options, improvements will be available as you go through the game. But the games do feel very, very different. I do miss the kind of deck building with cows and stuff that we were doing in Great Western Trail. I think that there is so far I'm less experienced with Maracaibo, and Great Western Trail had its fantastic expansion, didn't it? But I'm kind of leaning towards Maracaibo right now. And some of that is just in the kind of, without all of the legacy stuff going on and all this campaign stuff, just from the base game, and it's just variability in the options where you'll have in the cities, which will change based on your player count, and where they are in the particular run, as it changed in Great Western Trail, depending on where the buildings came out, can make a massive difference. Rather than having the extra costs that would cost other players to use particular buildings and things, we have these locations that it's much more attractive to go to a location that hasn't had all of its delivery slots filled up yet, because that's, if you've got the right cards in your hand, that's another disc that you can get off your player board, which is more options, more actions, but inevitably more points somehow, as long as you leverage the things you unlock at some point. So that's always attractive, but it's not essential. Sometimes you just desperately need that action. And so much in Maracaibo is all about the balance between those two things, how much you can afford to really sacrifice. And that goes back to, again, that was a great thing about Great Western Trail, is that you have a lot of freedom, really, in where you can move. 7 spaces is a lot. There's 20 locations on here, but with how they branch off, you can get a fair way across the board by going 7 spaces if you really need to. And that is compounded by, if I move a certain amount of spaces, I can get more village actions if I stop off at these less useful spaces, and then that will give me the ammunition I need. Maybe I can discard my hand or something, and then I'll have all of the options when I get into the city space to leverage that properly. But if I take the time to do that, is someone else going to come in and go into the city space first, or get the quest that I need that's coming up, or they'll be able to get an explore action and take that quest away, or get past one of the barriers and get the better rewards first. Just so many variables that don't really need that much overhead in the rules. Once you get used to, I'd say it's probably symbols, really, and they are pretty, universal. You get used to those pretty quick. It all starts flowing really well fairly quickly. I think for how complex some of the stuff can be in this game, the actual getting used to it is fairly simple, and without really negatively interacting with the other players, there is so much that you care about. All the stuff that I've mentioned about where other people are on the map, and whether they're going to be able to, or whether they're going to want to take away something that you secretly are heading straight for. All of the influence stuff, at the start of the game, everyone starts out with no influence in any of the countries. And throughout the game, just through, at the start, it'll just be getting stuff out. And then eventually you get cards that, if I can play this card if France controls these at least 3 areas. Okay, then maybe I'll start putting some cubes out for France instead. And unless people are desperate for just one more coin, they're probably not going to spend their combat points early on anyway to get other cubes out. You'll just want more out and just take 1 fewer point, 1 fewer coin, something like that. Then, as the game starts to wind up and you start to kind of see the state of everything, see how many points the various countries are worth, see where you are on these influence tracks, because the further along you are, the more multipliers you'll get in all of these things. It's a great way of earning points, really focusing on one particular country, getting loads of its cubes out, and getting really far on that influence track, so you'll just multiply that by loads. But yeah, you can start to see that, oh well, if it's fairly even throughout the different countries, then maybe I want to tip over the balance a little bit. I do want this better reward, but also it would be better for me if the Spain cube was replaced by a France cube for their majority on the board and their extra points towards the end of the game. All that can come into play with it as well. I think that it definitely works with 2 players, which is how I've played it, 2 players and solo at the moment. Locked down in that, innit? But I think that will probably be a bit more fluid, a bit more changing, a bit more interactive in the 4-player game, because there's just going to be more people. There's 4 players and only 3 things. It's not like in the 2-player game you could potentially just go for a couple of things. And it's not just that, okay, I'm going to go England, I'm going to go France, and that's just it. Because there are things inherent in the game pulling you in different directions as well. That, I draw the combat card and it's like, oh, the thing that's got the most out, you get a combat point penalty. So have I got enough stuff to make up for that? Or should I just go for, France that would give me points or coins? There are things in the game to lead you in different directions as well. It's not as simple as just, I've picked my team and I'm going for it. But I'd say, yeah, there is more opportunity for change and stuff in the game at a high play count, I think. But yeah, you can tell me if I would be wrong on that. So just the kind of base game as it is, even without any of these tiles or anything on, I think is absolutely fantastic. And then I haven't been... It's not particularly like a legacy game or anything like that. It's a game that's got it's got a big story deck, and you can play through the story and start out with nothing extra really on this board at all, and then gradually through doing these story quests, through playing games of it, you get more and more of these tiles introduced onto there. Which I've only had a bit of experience with that. We've only played a couple of chapters of the story, and then I've gone into this standard. If you don't want to play as the campaign, you could play easy with none of this extra stuff on it, or you could play medium, which I did in the playthrough, with some of it, or hard with more of it on there. Obviously, there's going to be more coming out through that story. It's going to have meant something, why it's come out, when it's come out in there. It's such a simple thing to add on there. I think it works fantastically well. Whether you are particularly bothered about the story or not, the story is a great plus if you are, but if you are just there for kind of gradually introduced mechanisms and spots on the board, that can make a big difference. That suddenly this tile that comes out that you can only get access to if you've moved your explorer a few spaces. Okay, well maybe I won't completely ignore exploring then, because that looks like a really useful action in a really useful place. Just little things like that, or the special combat island that you can see in the playthrough. And then on top of all of that, having a fantastic AI system. This kind of variable difficulty thing based on the combination of cards that you've put in there. It's been used in different ways for sure, but has been used in increasingly in solo modes, and I think it works fantastically here as well. That Jean is a great opponent, is always just about getting in your way, can really rush you through the rounds, depending on the way that she goes, depending on the extra cards that she's drawn based on the difficulty that she's on, just like in a multiplayer game. As I was saying in the playthrough, you can't just, you depending on how the other players are doing things, you can't just go your own way entirely. You can't just, ideally, I would skip all of these spaces to get a big villager action and then stop on all these consecutive spaces because there's great cities, I've got assistants here, I want to make use of all of this stuff. You can't just think like that. It'll never be perfect for you because someone else will want to get to somewhere first and they've had to skip a bit more than they wanted to, and now, that leaves me in a position, do I want to do this or shall I just skip to the end? So then all of a sudden you've got your kind of one-turn warning before you're all going to get dragged back to Havana. And especially if you're the person that's got a card out that's giving you an assistant with a great action, but it's on space 19, just before the board runs out, maybe you're going to be the person always kind of to make sure that you don't lose that action, skipping ahead towards it and then ending up making the round shorter. It's a great function of the kind of the variable speed of the round that's completely based on the way that the players are playing. But Jean simulates that very, very well as well. You can't really you can get a sense of what the cards are in her deck, but depending on what is still out there, did you take the quest? Did she get to it first? Depending on what she's done, how far she skipped ahead, the order that these cards have come out, it can leave you guessing really nicely as well, which is great for simulating that in a solo game. And then as you start to win against Jean, you can increase her difficulty. You can change how you're playing with the board to put more stuff out, or, as I am tempted to do now, you could play through the entire campaign against Jean as well. She can unlock the story cards and stuff just the same as you, but you are playing against her as well through that. And I think that is another fantastic plus for it as well. Yeah, I'm glad that I was put right in the comments, and people. Yeah, there's never been such a response for in the YouTube comments and tweets and messages and various media of just like, you need to get on this. Some just super fans of this, and some just like, yeah, I've seen your videos. I know what you like. I know what kind of thing you like, and you should probably try this out. You'll probably like it. You were right. I do really, really enjoy Maracaibo. But the playthrough is there for you to get the best idea of this. Never mind any of this effusive waffle. Yeah, that's a good name for that's the name of my second album. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye, everyone.